Hi, everybody, and welcome to I Hate Your Taste in Movies, a movie podcast where we force our friends to watch movies we love and then hear their sometimes violent, visceral, negative opinions. My name is Jackie.
I'm Jen.
And I'm Austin.
And today we are diving into a little-known movie called Pitch Perfect. This movie was Austin's choice, is that right?
Yes, it was.
Why don't you tell us why you chose it?
Yeah, I chose it because it came out in 2012. It's probably the movie that I've seen the most in a theater. I think I've seen it probably close to a dozen times when it was in theaters, which is not something I'm necessarily proud of, but here we are.
I'm sorry, did you just say 12 separate times you paid admission to a theater to watch the same movie?
I think so. Because
I'm sorry, that's delightful.
I know. I feel like I need to defend myself a little bit right off the top by saying that it came out when I was in my fourth year of university, and there wasn't a lot to do in the town that I went to university in. It was like go to Walmart or go to the movies. So we went to Pitch Perfect a lot.
Well, I'm going to be interested to see what Jen tells us also came out at the same time, because I feel like you could have gone to a couple different movies.
Yeah, there was a lot of movies that year. Like, it wasn't just Pitch Perfect.
I did go to the re-release of Titanic in 3D that year.
Oh my God.
So
sorry. Oh my God. Whew. Okay. Yes.
We're off to a great start. No, but it was just a movie that was it brings back a lot of memories from that year of university, to be honest. I saw it with a bunch of different groups of friends, and so I have a lot of memories with a lot of different people from it, and it was just a fun movie and fun memories. What about you, Jackie? What's your relationship with it?
Well, I will agree with you that it's a movie that you can watch over and over. I mean, I would never watch it multiple times in the same short span of time or also pay money, but I have seen it many a time. It's one of those movies that I tend to put on when I'm sick or hungover. There's some reason I can't pay full attention, but I want something light and fun and I can sing along to, I guess. So it's kind of like the comfort food of movies to me. So I have seen it many times. And since I had seen it, I didn't try and guess the plot. But I think Jen tried to guess the plot.
Yeah, Jen, what you got?
So I have not seen this movie. I actively avoided it because I thought it looked absolutely awful. So I wrote down what I thought this movie was about. You will hear that I absolutely nailed it. So Anna Kendrick is quirky and cool and not like other girls. She joins an a cappella group at her new school, and her quirky coolness gets them to nationals. Also, she falls in love with a generic teen movie white guy.
Wow.
Oosh. Damn.
That is the movie.
I mean, is she quirky cool or is she a badass alternative chick?
Okay, if we're going to dive into it, I think she's just the worst. Like, I don't know why anyone in this movie likes her.
Definitely agree with you. Watching it again, you're like, oh, she's awful. And as you get older, i.e. I am the oldest in this group, you identify more with the parental figure. And you're like, this girl needs to straighten up and go to college.
For sure. Yeah, that was one of my first notes that I put in here is like, whoa, I don't remember her being such a bitch.
Yeah, she's just terrible to everyone for no reason.
Yeah.
But then everyone just likes her. Like, her love interest is obsessed with her. One of the girls in the a cappella group is like, I just know we're going to be best friends. And I'm like, she's not nice to any of you. Like, why are you so invested in this girl?
I don't think she has a single redeeming quality. Like, she's not anything. She's not any positive qualities. She's not funny. She's not interesting. She's not nice. Nope. She's a jerk, and yet people like her. Gosh darn it. And, like, I hate that her big backstory, too, is her parents got divorced. This is why you're a huge bitch. Welcome to everyone in the world.
I absolutely agree when she was sort of like, oh, my dad divorced my mom, and that's why I'm so angsty. I was like, what, is this written by 10-year-olds? Like, who thinks like this? Like, grow up. Yes, a divorce is hard to go through, but it's not the end of the world.
But we have jumped ahead. So we're talking about Anna Kendrick's character, whose name is Beca. Right.
With one C, not two C's, because she's edgy.
Because everything about her has to be awful. She can't even spell her name right.
Sorry. Yeah, she's the worst. She's the worst. But she serves as a foil to bring together all these other characters who are not the worst. We'll get into the characters themselves. But yeah, I want to start with how the movie kind of opens. Or did you have something to say, Austin? Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, should we do a quick rundown of the plot? I mean, Jenn basically nailed it, but
yeah, I was I'm pretty sure I gave the rundown on the plot, but if you would like to give the more correct version.
Yeah, it's basically Beca is starting at Barden University, and she wants to be a DJ, but her dad is making her go to college because he's the worst. She gets a free college education because he's a professor there, but she's real bitter about it and doesn't want to be involved in anything, and then kind of stumbles upon the Barden Bellas, which is one of the 4 a cappella groups at the school, and ends up performing with them, and they are pretty not great for a while, and then she eventually befriends the group of misfits, and they get to the finals, and that's pretty much the movie. And yes, and she falls in love with Skylar Astin, who is delightfully charming, and you will not convince me otherwise.
Yeah, we have a difference of opinion on that one for sure.
I realized as I was saying you will not convince me otherwise that I could probably be convinced otherwise. Because I think I love Skylar Astin more than I love his character. But anyway.
Well, I will say that I don't hate his character. He's a generic white dude with, again, no personality. But I'm just always so aware whenever Skylar Astin comes on the scene that he's a theater actor. He's so over the top with everything. He doesn't know how to act for a movie. And I find that very annoying.
Interesting. I didn't get that sense, but I can see where that's coming from. He was in Spring Awakening. That's what I know him from.
Yeah, he's a theater dude straight up. Most of his credits were theater, yeah. I think, until this movie. Anyway, I mean, he's fine. He's totally, fine. I don't actually have an opinion of him either way, and right now I can't picture his face, but he's just fine. He's an okay dude. He's a little bit stalkery, but he's okay, I guess. What else can I say? Sorry.
That's okay. Should we just kind of go through it a little bit? I mean, one of the things that I kind of wanted to talk about is the character of Aubrey.
Yes, I have thoughts about her, but yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so Aubrey is one of the senior students, and she's in the Barden Bellas. Obviously, she's her and Chloe, played by Brittany Snow, are kind of the leaders of the group. And she's very stuck up and not really stuck up, but she's just a little tightly wound, and she wants to stick with tradition and not change. And she's very resistant to Beca, so obviously they clash. But I kind of felt really bad for her. And I feel like that took me a few viewings to get, but I actually kind of relate to her in a lot of ways, where she's just she wants the Bellas to be the best, and she just doesn't quite know how to let loose and stuff. And I don't know. I felt she was kind of a sad character, and you kind of get that right off the top with one of her first lines when they're backstage is my dad always said, if you're not here to win, get the hell out of Kuwait. And there's another quote later in the movie where if at first you don't succeed, pack your bags. She's just kind of a sad character.
But yeah, because her dad's abusive, and they don't even go into that at all. She's just a crushed, abused, sad control freak that I get. But why would they even put those quotes in and that reference to her dad if they weren't going to ever explore it at all? She just gets over it somehow. She's just okay, I'm fine now. I've learned to let loose.
I'm going to say, I feel like I never got a sense of what her character's motivations were. I didn't really get her, and I didn't get why she was acting the way she was, other than for conflict. She's supposed to be this perfectionist who wants to win and goes so hard and by the book, but the judges are reacting poorly. The announcers are reacting poorly. Everyone in the crowd is telling her it's terrible. I feel like a real type A overachiever wouldn't be well, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. It just didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, that I could see that too. I think she just doesn't have any imagination, I guess. She's just seen that using this exact routine has won them in the past. And she can't really change it once they're performing and the judges and audience are giving them feedback. It's easy, I think, at that point to blame the audience.
But I feel like they got that feedback at with their first couple of performances, and it took her until the end of the movie to be oh, hey, doing the same thing over and over again is lame.
Yeah, I think
there's a question I have too. Sorry, I was just going to say that the timeline is confusing for me. I don't know how much time they have in between each of these major performances.
It's probably
maybe they don't have time to scrap it all and start all over again.
Yeah, it's probably a couple months.
I mean, to compare this to the only teen movie I apparently like, Bring It On, they have a reason to do a whole new routine in a few weeks, And I feel like Pitch Perfect could have done something like that, but they just stuck with the old routine for so long that it was I don't know. I just thought it was weird, and I didn't understand why, other than the fact that they needed her to be fighting with Anna Kendrick, who's like cool and a DJ and revolutionary, and it's going to change the world with her music.
I guess that was my major criticism of the movie too, is that it seemed like they had the same conflict, the same fight, like 6 times. I'm just like, why doesn't anything like it's just going back to the same thing over and over with no change to even the tenor of the argument. So I just thought they didn't need to have that many times that the Beca pushing for something new and Aubrey saying no. Like, didn't that happen 4 or 5 times?
Yes,
I did get frustrated that like Chloe wouldn't stand up for herself and like stand up for Beca, because she was obviously more willing to change a little bit, but I think she was almost a little bit afraid of Aubrey. I don't know. I just kind of think she's a more interesting character than, maybe not handled perfectly, but I just think she's kind of a more interesting character that could have delved a little deeper into her control issues. And then I feel like this is kind of leading to what I'm sure Jenn really wants to talk about, but the vomit thing.
So unnecessary. Okay, Jenn, tell me. I want to hear Jenn's opinion.
So I was going to start by just asking what you guys like about this movie, because I found 0 redeeming qualities, and the humor is just, it's really immature. It's like the gross out vomit stuff, and then there's like jokes calling people like gay and fat, and then the girl with the baloney nipples, and I was like, do you guys genuinely like this movie? Like, what about it?
I will say, when it got to Baloney Barb there, that's what they call her, I did make a note of, this movie is a lot more of a gross out film than I thought it was, and I don't typically like gross out films, so it is a little bit past the point of what I would typically... I think if I saw the movie now, I probably wouldn't love it as much as I did, I guess, 8 years ago, but I think for me, it's the music. There's some jokes that I find still funny and all this, but yeah, the gross out stuff's never been for me.
Well, the vomit parts I don't watch. Ever since the first time I saw it, I don't watch that because I have no interest in watching people vomit. It's like, barf is a thing for me. I don't like it. It grosses me out more than most things. So I don't watch it. So to me, it's just deleted. The nipples were really stupid, but other than that, I can't think of another... I mean, the jokes are old. They're not funny and they're stupid, and there's a lot of problematic things that happen, sure. But I didn't find this a gross out movie, because to me the vomit's gone. So the gross out is now just the nipples, which it's not good, but I mean, people do have giant nipples, so it's just a fact of life.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it just surprised me because I know neither of you guys really like that gross out humor stuff, so I wasn't expecting it in here. And then I know a big difference between us is that the musical performance-y stuff, like, I didn't care for. So then I'm like, there's nothing in this movie. This is just like a couple people singing pop songs and then a person vomiting on stage. Like, why am I watching this?
I will say that even though I've seen this 100,000 times, I was dancing in my seat during the musical numbers.
Oh, so was I.
I find them so catchy, and I have the soundtrack. I love the music in this movie.
I think that's part of why I like this movie, kind of meant going back to what I said before about just like seeing it so many times in theaters. Me and my friends were obviously super cool, but like if we were driving anywhere, we were listening to the soundtrack and stuff. So I just have memories of singing along, which is so nerdy, but it is what it is. So I don't know. I just think it's a fun, kind of a fun movie for me.
To answer your question, Jenn, I think the only thing that's redeeming about this is that the music is good to some people. And there's like a super generic love story that's just easy to watch and accept and just forget. It's junk food.
That's a good way to put it. It's junk food.
The one I wanted to talk about, the point I wanted to bring up really quickly is Beca a DJ? What she does is put music together and then call it something new. It's so cheesy.
So I actually, I made notes on this. I did research because throughout this whole movie, she keeps talking about how she's a DJ and she's doing this revolutionary thing and she's going to change all this stuff. And it's just mashups. And I was like, mashups weren't new in 2012. What was going on? Why are they acting like she's so amazing and cool because she layers a couple songs together? And at one point she's explaining it. She's like, you find ones with similar beats. And I'm like, everyone knows how this works. And so I was I was looking up to see mashups, and obviously they started in the 60s. It's so old, but they really peaked around 2007, 2008, 2009. That's when they were really big in pop culture. There's DJ Earworm, who does the end of the year mashups every year. Girl Talk had mashup albums, all this stuff. And then this movie came out in 2012. So it's weird how it was trying to capitalize on like kind of a cool music trend that was happening at the time, but then at the same time acts like it's brand new and Anna Kendrick's the only person who's ever heard of it, and that drove me crazy.
And she thinks she can turn this immediately into a career. She's like, I want to go to LA and quote unquote make music. What job are you going to get? What do you think you're qualified to do?
Well, I mean, what she ends up doing is interning at the radio station is like a great first step for that. Like, so she's doing what she should be doing, and or what
But she can't do anything. She can't create music. She can only take music people have made and put it together.
I think that's what she means, though. I mean, that is an element of what DJs do. I don't know a whole lot about DJing, so correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't know anything.
It's not clearly. Like that's unheard of. Like that's definitely an aspect to it.
In my mind, I'm like, okay, you get in your car, you drive to LA, and you apply for.
Well, she'd probably end up doing the same thing. Like she'd probably end up doing, like realistically, if she drove to LA, got out of her car, she'd probably end up interning at a radio station. Or
and why is she so mad to be at college? She's doing the thing. Then okay,
but also like. If she did drive to LA and try to intern at a radio station and be like, I'm, 19 years old, I want to be a DJ, here's my tracks, and let me be your intern, they're like, cool, get in line. There's 500 other people with the exact same thing. You're not special. Go home, Beca.
That would be a great movie. I'd watch that. The Dreams Crushed, Pitch Perfect sequel.
Oh, a couple things.
Yeah.
In terms of kind of the gross, not really gross humor, but kind of going back a little bit, but just a couple of things that haven't aged great. When she walks onto campus for the first time, I don't know if you caught this, there's a group of guys sitting in the quad rating all the freshman girls as they walk by. Did you guys notice that? That was real gross.
Yeah, I think I saw that.
And then just the like casual racism with her roommate.
Yes, I did catch that right away where she kind of goes in and is like, oh, do you not speak English? And I was like,
English?
Oh.
No English? Where are we at with English?
Yeah.
Not great.
Yeah, Kimmy Jin is a very weird character. I never understand, like, she hates her sight unseen, but then she's just always there eavesdropping and providing nothing. I don't get why Kimmy Jin's in this movie.
No,
just give Beca a single room. What about the way that they portray Anna Kendrick as a badass by making her wear a little bit of black eyeliner and having one earring?
And some tattoos. And she has an industrial piercing. She's cool.
I told you guys, she is quirky and cool and not like other girls. They're hitting you over the head with it.
Yeah.
I just don't get why she was chosen to fill this character or why they built this character around her, because she's the most non-threatening, non-alternative person on Earth. She's so sweet looking, even when she's trying to be bad.
I really do think this movie is intended for younger audiences, in that I think if I had been like 10 or 11 when this came out, I would think this is what like cool girls in university are like, because she's kind of quote unquote alternative, but in that incredibly non-threatening way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's like to appeal to the much younger audiences of like, ooh, I can be a rebel too. All I have to do is put on some eyeliner.
Well, and it's this weird... She has this like weird superiority complex, and she's so condescending towards all the other characters. And it's like the rest of the Bellas are like nice people. Like, why is she so like, she puts them down, doesn't take them? I don't know. I don't like the way that she's portrayed as being kind of above everyone else, and I don't think she really learns. She like accepts, she opens up that part of herself, I guess you could say, but I don't think she ever like realizes that she's just been a bitch the whole time. And her excuse at the end when they're like exchanging secrets or whatever is just, I've never been the type of girl who has a lot of friends that are girls. It's like, that doesn't mean you can be a bitch about it.
Yeah, she doesn't really grow.
Yeah.
No, she doesn't grow at all. She's basically rewarded for being awful because she gets everything she wants. They do her exact routine and then they win. And then she's just the new leader of the group. And yeah, in that apology secret scene or whatever, she says like, oh, I've never had friends that are girls before. Have you had friends that are guys before? Because you're a dick to everyone.
She's awful to Skylar Astin's character, whose name I can't remember right now.
Jesse.
Yeah, she's awful to him, especially when he bails her, or when he calls her dad when she gets arrested. Oh,
she is
so
the
angry.
most ungrateful bitch. It's like, hey man, why don't I just leave you in jail then? What do you think, I have hundreds of dollars to bail you out?
Yeah, like
I'm
they're
not your
university students. He doesn't have a job. He's interning at the radio station like she is. How does he have money for bail? Obviously, her parents are getting called.
I don't understand why he likes her at all. And yeah, you're right. Why does he try so hard? Although his trying so hard is very off-putting. I find him creepy. He does a lot of things where he just like shows up and he puts a blanket beside her and he starts unpacking a picnic, and it's like, you're not invited.
Yeah, I agree. I think like they're trying to obviously make this a romance, but I think he should have taken the hint or reacted differently to her at some point earlier on than when he did. Because she's giving him like just complete bitch vibes for so long, and he's really like trying to act like their boyfriend and girlfriend, and it just seems so disconnected.
Yeah, and what about the appearance of the hot ass DJ who works at the radio station?
I really thought that was going to go somewhere. That like he was going to flirt with Beca and the guy was going to get jealous and it was going to be a whole thing.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. And when I was watching it again, I was like, why did they include this part except for to show his abs, which I didn't hate, but
that's exactly why they included that part. No, he's kind of a nothing burger.
Yeah, he has nothing to do with anything. Like even when he plays her song, that doesn't change or do anything, you know?
I wonder if maybe there was more and they just cut it because this movie is long.
Yeah, it's way too long.
Okay, well, if it was up to you, Jen, they would cut everything. So
I would allow like a couple minutes.
And how do we feel about Rebel Wilson's breakout role as Fat Amy? I remember being like, this is so revolutionary.
Me too. And now she's wearing real thin on me.
Yeah.
I don't find her funny anymore, and I know that she's basically improvised all of her, like, her whole part. So, and I can tell now, because her improvisation style is just, like, yammering on, and it's, I don't know, it's not funny anymore to me.
I still enjoy her. There's a couple standout moments where I'm like, she's all right.
Yeah.
But the whole Fat Amy has gotten really old. Like, I don't like that that's a comedy point. Haha, she's not. I don't know why the Bellas wanted, what did they say? Like 5 bikini ready girls with perfect pitch or something?
Yeah.
That part, I feel like we've all grown out of that. It's not, this should just not be there. I wish it wasn't there. Yeah, I do like the line where she's like, I call myself Fat Amy, so like skinny bitches like you don't do it behind my back. So they try and address the fact that this is problematic, but instead she's just the butt of the joke.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do think that this is my favorite Rebel Wilson role, maybe because it was her first one that I saw. But yeah, it definitely started to not click with me as much this time.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, other Rebel Wilson movies that I've seen have not been very good.
Yeah, I can't think of anything I've really liked her in, but I haven't admittedly seen a lot. Basically just Bridesmaids, this, and Cats. So she does not have a great career. If I can go on yet another rant about this movie for a second.
Please.
And it's not even really about the movie. So, as I mentioned, I hated this movie before I saw it. And the reason for that is because that year that it came out, whenever I went to the movies at Cineplex, which is like a chain here in Canada, they would do this thing beforehand in the pre-show where they would play a clip from an upcoming movie. And the clip they would play was from Pitch Perfect. And it was the scene in the empty pool where Anna Kendrick's rapping No Diggity. And I hated everything about that. And around this time in like 2012, there was this real like, I don't know, something happened where white people especially decided they loved the song No Diggity. And there was all these like acoustic covers of it. I did research. I looked this up. A singer-songwriter named Chet Faker did a cover. Ed Sheeran did a cover. There was a cover on the X Factor in 2010. These are all by like white indie singers. When I Googled No Diggity, on the first page of results is Etsy, where you can buy like prints for your home that say No Diggity, No Doubt, and stuff like that. And that's like the whitest site in the world. I'm sorry, Etsy. And there's also an article from The Root, which is a Black news site that basically is like, why do white people love covering No Diggity so much? I don't know. They don't have an answer. I don't have an answer either. But I would just see that scene of her rapping in the pool, and I hated it so much. I hated that that was what they were doing, and it was clearly trying to set her up, like I said, as like the quirky, cool girl. Like, they're all staring at me because they can't believe I know every word to this rap, and I hated it. So when it came to that scene in the movie, I was like, I remember you. I hate you so much.
I hated that too. I agree with you 100%. I just wrote in my notes, No Diggity rap is so cringy. Like, there's nothing good about it. She tries. Maybe I'll give her credit for jumping in and trying, but she fails at that, and it makes the whole movie feel awful.
And she couldn't think of another song that had the word "it" in it.
I also was very confused about that whole scene because, the couple of them clearly don't have the connecting word, but the Bellas get kicked out of the competition because they didn't make the connecting word.
I'm trying to think. I feel like they all made sense.
I don't know.
I have to go back again.
Understand the rules of that quite exactly because, like you said, Jackie, there was a couple times where I thought the words didn't line up, but I don't know.
I think for the most part they did. The only one I can't think of right now is the high notes or whatever, the ones that are always high. I don't think that one lined up, but they also got chopped for that one. But they spin a wheel, they get a category, and then they have to start singing a song, and then another team has to jump in with a different song that fits in the category, but they have to start on the same word that the other team is ending on.
Can we talk about where this empty pool is?
I was just going to say, why does this university have an empty pool?
The whole campus confuses me because there's also a giant amphitheater that's full of underage drinking in the middle of the night.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, I want to go to that party.
And then there's also this empty pool that they do the riff off at, which I did write. Those would be good acoustics. But I don't know. It's a mystery.
That didn't occur to me that it would be used for good acoustics. You're enlightening me. I'm like, why would they go stand at this stupid pool? Just go do it in the street, but I guess it's acoustics.
Yeah, whenever I saw that scene before having seen the movie, I always assumed it was some teen house party, because in those giant teen house party movies, there's always an empty pool that people hang out in.
Yeah.
I have never stood in an empty pool. Have you guys?
No, never.
No, I always thought I wanted to, though, because of Encino Man. They all party in empty pools and skateboard in them and stuff. But I've never partied in an empty pool. But it did seem that it happened in teen movies a lot.
Maybe we just missed out on something. I don't know.
We weren't partying with the right people.
I do remember a lot of people streaking and then ending up in the pool in high school. That was fun.
Oh, can we talk briefly about Benji, played by Ben Platt?
Oh, yes. I didn't know the character name, but I did want to talk about Ben Platt.
Yes.
I want to talk about how he's nothing. He's barely used. What was his arc?
I feel so bad for him. I think he was just he really wanted to be in the Troublemakers, and then their lead guy is a jackass.
Who I love. I love Bumper.
God. Bumper reminds me so much of this kid I went to high school with that I just can't take it. But yeah, so he wanted to be in the Troublemakers. Bumper didn't accept him, which this is stupid to me because he was a really good singer. There's 4 a cappella groups at the school. 3 of them apparently take men, and he didn't get into any of them. I think
he only wanted to go into the Troublemakers. It was Troublemakers or nothing.
Maybe. I don't know. I was I call bullshit on this.
I had the same thought as Austin because I know Ben Platt is a Broadway guy. So when he goes for his audition, and I'm like, this is going to be some reveal that he's an amazing singer, and then they're going to take him in. But they still didn't. But then I was like, okay, so now he's going to join one of the other groups. But he didn't, because the other groups don't matter and don't need to be there. Because what university has 4 a cappella groups on campus?
I mean,
it's so true.
Mine had 3.
Austin, you didn't go to a real school.
You went to an arts university.
I went to university. I was in.
I do like that they acknowledge it, though. They're like, the Troublemakers are the messiahs of Barden if you don't include athletes, frat guys, or actual cool people. So they do acknowledge that it's just a very insular group and only a couple people can know or care what a cappella is.
Yeah, and I had that same kind of thought when they were at their different competitions where people were acting like it was a concert for a boy band. Girls were screaming and reaching their hands on the stage. And I'm like, there's no way an a cappella competition is like this. I believe there's a cappella competitions.
There are, the ICCAs are a real thing.
Yeah, and I believe that everyone in the audience is either a competitor or a friend or family of competitor. I do not believe there are screaming girls trying to date the a cappella boys like they're NSYNC or something. It's just no.
Yeah, everyone stays in their seat.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you guys been to or heard what's the name of that? What's the name of that really famous a cappella group?
The Troublemakers?
Pentatonics.
Oh, I have heard of that.
I have not.
They're super famous. They're amazing. But my university had 3 a cappella groups. There is I forget what they're called now, but there was a men's group, a women's group, and then a mixed group, which I feel like is probably standard at a lot of universities.
I feel like mine had 0, and if it didn't, I was completely unaware.
I'm also thinking we had 0. Now, my question for you is whether the groups were as quirky and as the people in regionals who were wearing socks on their hands or cowboy hats, and I don't understand. I'm like, is that representative of how it actually is?
No, the ones at my school were quite good, especially the male group. Oh, the Potsdam Pointer Counts. Shout out to the Potsdam Pointer Counts. They're really good. I didn't really see the other 2 groups perform very much, but they were pretty normal, I thought.
They had socks on their hands?
They did not have socks on their hands, but I will say I did appreciate that Beca stood up for them when like Aubrey was like, they don't matter, whatever. And she was like, at least they're doing something different. It's like, okay, Beca, you get 1 little point.
I guess, but I don't think she respected them. She just wanted to be a bitch to Aubrey.
That's very fair. That's very fair. Yeah. I also did want to just make a quick comment on the apparently like endless availability of pun names for a cappella groups. I don't know how well versed you guys are in the a cappella world.
Not at all. Is that an option?
I'm just shocked at the amount of music related pun names they can create names out of. It's just impressive to me.
I'm hoping maybe you can help me, Austin, because I was really trying to see the name of the group that was those 4 kind of lame alumni guys, including the guy from Scrubs and the guy from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember I couldn't see what their band name was. It was behind them, and I always missed it, and I thought maybe you saw it.
They were called the Tone Hangers.
Oh, okay. That's a weird one.
I don't get it. What is that supposed to reference?
I don't know.
Okay. I'm like, am I missing an obvious musical pun because I don't know music?
No, I don't get that one.
Okay, good. It sucks. I think those guys are supposed to suck, so
yes.
They suck. But what I was going to talk about, which I don't understand, is... Okay, follow me on a little journey while I explain what I have a problem with.
All right.
So they're on their way to, I don't know, regionals or nationals. They're on their way to that competition in the bus, right?
Yes.
So Bumper hits Fat Amy with a burrito while she's pumping gas.
Yes.
Which I find that funny. I'm sorry. It was a funny scene. She screams out, "I've been shot." That makes me laugh. So they get back in the bus. They head off. Continuity error. When the bus breaks down, it's because there's a battery issue. On the dashboard, the battery light is lit up, not the fuel tank light. So I was confused about why the bus breaks down. But aside from that, the bus breaks down, they're stranded, and they call Bumper, who just threw a burrito at her and sabotaged them. And he comes back to pick them up in their bus. Like, why would he come back? Why would he help them? He just tried to mess their chances up in the first place. Why is he giving them a ride?
I don't know, I guess. Well, it's also implied that him and Amy have a little something going on the side, so...
Then why would he whip a burrito at her?
Well, he's not a nice person, but...
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think it was kind of implied there that, like, he and Amy were hooking up, which, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, why would he throw the burrito at her just to then come pick them up in the van later to rescue them? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good point. I didn't really think of that.
Me neither. Like, honestly, I saw this and I was like, wait, he's gotten a head start or whatever. He's at least half an hour ahead of them now. And he's going to turn around and come back and pick them up and take them to the competition. But you know what? Let's just chalk it up to Bumper being a complicated dude or whatever. Maybe Jesse helped too, right? He was in that bus.
Yeah, that's it. It was probably like a collective, like, no, we should go back and get them kind of situation.
Yeah. Or I also really love, I'm sorry, I don't know this guy's name in the movie or in real life, but he's Mindy Kaling's brother on The Mindy Show.
Yeah.
He's a very lovable character, and he has like that one moment with the really quiet talking girl, and I'm like, I can watch way more of that. I love that relationship. I'm so invested, and it's one sentence long.
It's true. Well, that's the other thing. Bumper wasn't driving the van.
Yeah, but she called him, right?
Yeah,
she's
but
like,
maybe he was
number.
like, okay, here's what I think happened in my head. She called him. I don't know, maybe he had the phone on speakerphone, or maybe he was just talking like, oh, you guys are stranded, blah, blah, blah. And then they were like, oh, we should go maybe it was like a collective group decision when they heard that they were stranded. And then Bumper maybe got outvoted.
Okay. I hope that's true. It makes more sense. But
that's what I'm going to go with.
To my mind, Bumper had like a stranglehold on that group, and he made the decisions.
Well, and Donald was the one driving the...
Donald. There it is. He's cute.
He is cute.
I don't know, now I'm thinking about this scene more, and it really feels like it was just an unnecessary hiccup. Like, you throw the burrito at Fat Amy, that throws off their whole thing because her outfit's ruined. But then the van also breaks down, or bus also breaks down. But then neither of those things actually impact them, like, getting there on time or being able to perform. So it's kind of like they were throwing these obstacles, but they didn't actually last more than a couple seconds. So it wasn't even really like we have so much to overcome to get to this performance. It was kind of just a couple of scenes that didn't really matter.
Yeah, and it would have been a nice opportunity for them to, like, bond and band together and overcome the obstacle of their bus breaking down. They could have had, like, a whole montage of them going up to a farmhouse and, like, getting a ride or something. Problem solving.
Like, after he threw the burrito and it, like, ruined Amy's costume, they were going to have to find new outfits to wear, and that would be kind of like the first thing that's moving them towards this new direction. They realize they, like, shouldn't be dressed like flight attendants for some reason, you know?
Yeah, that would have worked.
I wonder if this is all stuff that got cut.
We're just script doctoring right now. It's great.
Yeah.
I'm in.
So speaking of their kind of moving towards changes, I think it's at the regionals, or no, I forget
semifinals, I think.
Semifinals, where Beca adds a new verse, or adds a mashup to the performance. And I wrote, just like Zoe Saldana in Center Stage, this is a dick move. I know we're supposed to be...
Such a dick move.
Oh, we're supposed to be rooting for them and like, oh, it sounds good. Look at all these people. That is a fucking dick move, especially in something like a cappella where everyone is doing something very, very specific with their voices. Like, that is awful. Why would you do that?
I don't know. It was high risk. Like, that would have fucked everything up. I definitely agree. I'm on Aubrey's side.
Yeah, Aubrey was totally right to be mad.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was a dick move. I also don't think it sounded good. Like, it would have been different if someone had joined in with her, maybe, but it sounded like the entire group is singing, and then she's just doing her own thing. Like, it didn't even sound cool or cohesive or interesting, and it's cutting to the audience, and they're all smiling like they like it, and I'm like, why are you liking this? It just sounds like she fucked up.
The judges made a comment, too, about, like, oh, it looks like there's some tension or something along those lines. So, like, it was obvious that she was doing something she wasn't supposed to be doing. But I do think it was kind of realistic in the sense that if she was doing something like that, no one else did join in. Everyone else just stuck to what they were doing, and they were looking at her like, what the fuck?
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was terrible. And also, it's kind of silly because Fat Amy did her own version of, like, editing on the spot and making it hers, and she did it so well.
Yeah.
Like, when she busted out with her, like, wooing and, I don't know, taking her shirt off, etc. But she, like, that was an example of something that was so fun and, like, lovable, and you can see why the audience was engaged with it and were responding to it and why that got them further. And then Beca does that weirdo, you're right, Jen, like, it really didn't sound good. It was totally off-putting, and somehow that advanced them. Oh no, did they get cut at that point?
That was where they didn't advance, right?
Oh yeah, the kid, the high school student.
Yeah.
He was their thing advanced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they didn't advance with
clearly Aubrey could have blamed her for their failure to advance.
Yeah, and she would have a valid reason because she threw off the whole group.
Yeah, I totally agree. And then she gets confronted about her, honestly, really bad behavior. And she's like, this is why I don't try. And, like, storms off. Pathetic.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's terrible. And you're right, though, because when Fat Amy was performing, she made it her own in a way that didn't throw everything off. So there's no reason why Beca couldn't have tried to make it her own without being so obsessed with doing a mashup. Like, there are other musical things you could do than just mashups, Beca. Like, you could have put in some, like, vocal flourishes or something to try to make it sound a little more engaging. But no, she's just like, I want to do things my way, and this whole movie is going to agree that I'm correct and that I'm going to win a trophy.
She also could have done it at a rehearsal or something, right? Like, I'm sure they were running this thing a lot. Mm-hmm. Throw it in a rehearsal. If people think it sounds good, you could probably outvote Aubrey.
Well, that's the thing they do, too, is they never try and force a vote. They're always just like, Aubrey says no, so we all drop it.
And that's why I get sad about, like, Chloe, because she's, like, trying. Yeah. Like, there's that time in the dorm room when after Beca gets out of jail, and she's like, oh, I want to hear your stuff. Like, show us. And Aubrey's just like, no. It's like, come on. Like, stand up for your friend a little bit.
Yeah, and I also do Like Chloe, it makes sense because she and Aubrey have been friends for a period of time, but everyone else in the group is brand new. So I don't know why they are so willing to just go with whatever Aubrey says. They could just be like, hey, we outnumber you. We all want a new routine. Let's work together and find something different.
Yeah, and Fat Amy has clearly showed how to be outspoken during like all these group meetings. So why doesn't Beca and Fat Amy ever get together and really like steamroll Aubrey for a chance?
Yeah, I feel like they probably would have done something outside of the group at that point.
I just want to talk about one thing that you just said, Jen. After she gets out of jail and they're all waiting in her dorm room, it's supposed to be like 3 a.m. If I was Kimmy Jin, I would have a fucking heart attack. Like, what are you idiots doing here?
Yeah.
All of you. And they're like, well, we're on Becca's side of the room, so we can do whatever we want.
Yeah. And she's like, they've been here for hours. It's really inconsiderate.
No wonder.
And that's supposed to be funny,
Becca,
but it's straight up the most inconsiderate.
And it's also like even earlier in the movie, Becca's dad just like walks into the room. And it's like, she has a roommate.
Yeah.
She could be changing.
And her dad is also a professor. So that could be like, in theory, her professor walking into her private bedroom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You'd be like, that's class later. Please leave.
This is making a very good argument for why Kimmy Jin should just not exist in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, why doesn't Becca have a single? Kimmy Jin adds nothing. And also, can we talk about how Becca doesn't like movies? What?
Oh my god, I know.
Full on psychopath. First of all, I think it's weird that Jesse's only personality trait is I like popular movies. That's it. He's just like, hey, have you heard of the most famous movies of all time? I like those. And then Becca's like, no, I don't watch any movies because I'm the worst.
Because I get
her explanation is so stupid.
They're boring. They're predictable.
Yeah, you're watching the wrong movies. I mean, you watched one movie one time and you're like, no more.
So this is good. I did actually, I was doing some research on this film and I found a piece of trivia of the movies that Becca ends up watching over spring break.
Oh, yes.
So I wrote them down because I want to see how many of these we have all seen. So
I was going to do the exact same thing.
Yes, Austin! We're on the same page. So obviously The Breakfast Club, we have all seen.
Yes.
Yes.
Say Anything?
No.
No.
Oh, yes! I'm surprised. E.T.?
Yes.
Yes, but I don't think I remember it, but I know I've seen it.
Okay, that's fair. Rocky?
Yes.
No.
Animal House?
No.
No.
Schindler's List?
Ooh, no.
Yeah, I haven't got around to that one yet.
Wow, guys. Slumdog Millionaire.
Sorry.
I've seen Slumdog Millionaire.
Jaws? Yes?
Yes.
I'm assuming that's a yes for everyone.
It
The
is.
Thing?
No.
Not yet, right, Jen?
Yes! I was like, The Thing's on my list, so I know it's a no for you guys. And Scarface.
No.
Wow. So those are the classic films that she watches. So Becca, who has never seen movies until now, is ahead of you guys.
So,
well, whatever.
Jackie,
Classic is subjective.
Jackie, I think we need a movie education. We need a movication.
Okay, let's do it. I refuse to watch The Thing.
Oh, it's on the list. We're watching it.
I don't want to.
Get ready.
Oh, I'm so never going to be ready.
On the topic of Becca's hatred of movies, I thought it was a little strange that when she gets released from jail, Jesse makes a reference to $1 Million Baby. And she not only understands the reference, but corrects him on it, which just didn't quite strike me as real for someone who doesn't like movies. I doubt she's seen $1 Million Baby. But anyway, that was just a little note that I had.
It doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah,
I mean, she could have seen the Oscars, but why would she if she hates movies?
It fits her personality, though, in being like, I'm smarter and better than everyone, that she used to correct him and I don't know, pick at every little thing. But you're right that it is kind of weird that she's doing it specifically about $1 Million Baby, a movie that someone who has never even seen The Breakfast Club probably would not have heard of.
Yeah.
Can you guys, a little personal question, but do you remember ever crying while watching The Breakfast Club?
No.
I don't think so.
Because
you're right, though, she cries.
Super emotional, and I'm like, nah, man, it's just kids in detention. It's not really that. It's good. I'm not going to say it's not good, but it's not like some emotional climax where someone has to choose which one of their kids dies or something.
Yeah. I mean, I think maybe she's just relating to it a bit in that she's like, I need to open up to my group of misfits.
She's a misfit.
Wow, actually did not make that connection at all. I'm just like, Breakfast Club is kind of lame. Why are you crying? But yeah, maybe there's more levels.
I will say, speaking of The Breakfast Club, I'm very mad about this, but the only thing in this movie that I found myself genuinely into was at their final performance when she's singing Don't You Forget About Me, and Jessie like puts the fist in the air, and I'm like, how dare you rely on Breakfast Club nostalgia to get me excited about this movie? I'm so mad. But it worked on me. I was like, oh, it worked.
That's one of my least favorite parts of the musical performances.
I love it.
I think that they started really on a up note in that song, and then that part slows it down, and it's fine. I like it because the song is nostalgic, like you say, but I don't think it was a good choice for their mashup finale song.
It's also not a super well-known song. Like, it's kind of it is kind of an odd choice to put in to like.
And why would you risk your entire competition on making up with Jessie? And like, why would the group let her risk everything on sticking in some inside joke with her pseudo boyfriend?
I don't know, guys, but it's literally the only part of the movie I allow to exist, so it's
Fair
staying.
enough.
Okay.
So now might be a good time for me to mention that I delved in a little bit to what the rules are for the ICCA competitions.
Okay.
Let's hear them.
Oh boy.
Wait, did you dive into this because you want to start an a cappella group? Because I am not in.
I am also not in.
So the ICCA rules. And the reason that I wanted to know this is because when I was watching it with a bunch of people that were like doing a cappella and competing in the ICCAs, they were like, they could never do that at the competition. You can't do mashups. That's not a thing. So I looked into what it is, and you have 12 minutes. So usually it ends up being like 3 or 4 songs, and you just kind of do them back to back. You can like transition, so it can be like a medley in that sense, but I don't think you can mash them up. I think that's against the rules. So they would be out, as with the Troublemakers. You can't have any outside performers, so that makes sense why the high school student their team was eliminated. And you can change your set list between rounds as long as you notify the competition. So, because I was also wondering, like you mentioned earlier, Jackie, about how much time they have between competitions, and like, would they actually be able to change their set list? Because I kind of assumed they wouldn't have been able to choose different songs, that they were kind of be stuck into whatever they submitted. But sounds like you can, so there we go.
Okay. So they would be disqualified for some reasons, but also they'd be fine for other reasons.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I don't think they're...
Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say that people who are really in a cappella did not love this movie.
I think it was one of those things where it was like fun to watch and like exciting that this thing that is kind of niche was kind of getting more widespread recognition, because it is very impressive. And even for this movie, like, they all did do it. They all did all the a cappella. But like with anything, when you watch a movie, when you're an expert in something or like know about something, it's really easy to start picking it apart.
Can I ask you a question, though, about musicians and music and singing?
I'm not a vocalist, but yes.
Is it possible for Chloe to hit the low note?
No, that was what I was going to say. Is I think that's the only exception to them singing the parts. Is like, that's not a thing that could happen.
I was going to say, if you have surgery, can you all of a sudden be like a basso profundo? Because that's a pretty cool surgery to have.
I mean, it would probably affect your range, but yeah, no.
I do like how they mention really quickly, they mention some girls. They're like, it's like you haven't been here all year. And they're like, we've been here.
We've literally been here this whole time.
Yeah. I'm like, those must be the people who can actually sing, and they just kind of stick them in the background so that they don't have to act.
Yeah, I did read that one of them, I forget which one of them, but she like won the ICCAs with their a cappella group and stuff, and some of the guys from the Troublemakers were too, so they definitely did bring in some ringers.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. But yeah, I did make a note.
Sorry, go.
No, just while we're on the topic of range, it bothers me because she says, Brittany Snow, she says that she might not be able to sing above a G sharp, which is like, I'm not sure what G sharp she was talking about, because if it was like on a staff, the second line G sharp, that's pretty low. That she will definitely be able to sing higher than, and proceeds to sing much higher than the rest of the movie. But then if it's the octave higher, it's like a very high note that I don't think she ever got up that high. So I'm very confused.
I love this like music major analysis.
I know, I bet they were like, don't worry about the actual music theory. No one will care about that. And Austin's like, excuse me. I care very much.
Yeah. Just as we're speaking about that character and her like range, I thought that was kind of a weird plot point that again they didn't really do much with, where at the beginning the announcers at the competition are like, oh, the all-female groups generally don't do well because they can't hit the low notes. And then at the very end of the competition, before they go on, I think someone says to Brittany Snow, like, oh, now you can hit all those low notes we never had before. And that's kind of a factor in why they win, I think, is that now they have a better range because they can hit a lower note. But it was sort of just like this weird side thrown in thing that wasn't really ever talked about.
Yeah, and somehow Chloe can sing both high and low.
Yeah.
Because when they're in the empty pool, she sings very high. And then all of a sudden she's doing that weird super low. So I didn't get it either.
Yeah, it was weird. And if they just needed someone who could sing low, I'm sure they could find a girl with a low voice. Like, they exist.
Yeah, you're looking at them.
I will say, though, her face, whenever she's quote-unquote singing that low note, makes me laugh so hard every time.
Very funny.
It definitely... I don't think it was supposed to have a huge payoff in terms of the setup at the beginning, because I think that is like a valid criticism that is probably pretty real, that all female groups don't have that range that a mixed group or even a men's only group would have, because a men's group could probably reach the higher notes a lot more easily than a women's group could hit the lower notes. So I think that's like a valid criticism, but yeah, I don't think it was supposed to have this like realistic payoff, but I do see what you're saying, Jen.
Yeah, I guess then if they were trying to do it as a joke, I felt like that didn't really hit either. It just felt like it was a non-entity, but they made sure to mention it. So I just thought it was kind of weird.
Speaking of the finale, I don't think that they, like, I'm glad Benji got his moment, but I wanted him to have like a full performance. They just bring him in at the end and he has a little bit of a performance, but I don't know. I think I just wanted more. I wanted him to have a bigger moment.
Well, yeah, and especially if we are assuming he's replacing Bumper, right? Because they didn't have to rework their whole routine. We can probably assume that they brought him in just after Bumper left, so he just kind of stepped into Bumper's role. And I would think that Bumper would have a much bigger part to it than that Benji ended up having.
Yeah. I did also think it was weird in their performance. Like, it starts and Jesse kind of comes out like he's the lead singer. And then Benji comes out for the next part. And I was kind of like, isn't Jesse new to this group too? Like, why are they just giving him a lead role right away?
Because he's so good and so charming and so wonderful.
Because we love him.
I'm sorry, but did we also notice that the other guys were playing each other as fake instruments?
Yes.
So awful. I was like, why is this happening? This is extremely awkward. So I guess that's about it. I mean, somehow the Bellas win, even though, I mean, I think they could have been second, but all right.
Yeah.
Do we want to move into like our highlights and lowlights?
Yeah, I think we could move in. And ratings. Ooh, boy.
So let's do, why don't we go around and say what our high points were? Jackie, why don't you start?
I totally knew you were going to ask me to start, and I forgot to write down. But I think I can think of something. Hold on, let me just look.
Well, I can go.
Okay.
I have a couple high points. I think the biggest one is the two final performances. I just really like them. Maybe a part of it's nostalgia, just like good memories. But it has the same thing that a lot of these musical movies have, is that it just makes me want to do it. Like, I wish I was up there. And I'm not a singer or a dancer, but I just really want to be involved. So it like brings that out in me, which is always fun and why I like a lot of these movies. And I think my other high point, I really like Chloe. I love Brittany Snow.
I knew that you loved her.
I do love Brittany Snow. I went on a nice Brittany Snow marathon after Pitch Perfect. It was a good time. There's not a lot of good movies in that library, so. But, and I also really like Benji. And I'm glad that Ben Platt is living his best life now.
Yeah, Ben Platt, he's got pretty famous and I respect it. He's definitely talented.
Yeah.
I guess I'm going to say that my high point is, oh God, I didn't have anything and I just started talking. Why did I do that?
Do you want me to go? Do you need more time still?
Go.
Okay, so I already said my high point was the only point of the movie that I enjoyed, which was the Breakfast Club reference during the final performance. Specifically, when he just does the Bender-style fist in the air. I don't know why it worked on me. I don't know why that made me, like, invested in this movie somehow. Invested in their relationship, which I didn't care about until that moment. Invested in him as a character, even. I basically just like the Breakfast Club. So that was my high point to this movie when I thought about a different movie.
Good stuff. I think I'll call my high point. I really enjoyed when Jesse is drunk at the amphitheater party.
Aww.
I find his hitting on her at that point, that's before he gets creepy and weird, and I'm like charmed by him in that moment. I'm like, he's funny, he's attentive, and he's drunk, and those are all the things I love. I have my low point ready, though. I will say I'm prepared for that.
Oh, I'm also prepared for low points, but you can start.
My low point is that they make multiple references to how this group of women are not attractive, and they're all hot.
Yeah.
Like, it's a group of hot women, especially at the end. They're all looking, like, nice. So there, at one point she says, it's refreshing and yet displeasing to the eye. And I'm like, what are you looking at? These are just people. There was a group with socks on their hands. Why are we so mean to the Bellas?
I can't believe we made it through this whole episode without talking about Elizabeth Banks. And
yeah, we totally did.
I forget his name, the other commentator.
Higgins.
Anyway. I like them.
I like them too, but it's funny that they're all like this big joke that everyone's supposed to think that this is a hideous group of people, but they're all conventionally attractive people.
For sure.
Yeah, agreed.
My low point is pretty straightforward. My low point is the vomit. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessary. I guess it's supposed to be like, it's like a control thing for Aubrey and a stress thing, which I can get behind, but it's just unnecessary. It's gross. And I also just can't stand Bumper.
Fair. I like Bumper. And also the vomit doesn't exist to me. Otherwise that could be my low point.
Yeah. So my low points, I'm going to mention two things. One is basically just every like crude humor attempt in this film, which I just didn't think worked. I didn't think anything in it was funny. Didn't like most of the jokes. So that is a low point. And then my other petty low point is in the scene where Beca is singing in the bathroom and she's singing the song Titanium, and the other girl comes in to her in the shower and she's like, oh, I'm singing the song too or whatever. And then Beca goes like, oh, you know David Guetta?
I know.
And I'm like, this was a top 10 hit. Everyone knows this goddamn song. I looked it up. It was on the Billboard charts the year before this movie came out. So everyone knew this song, and she acts like she's so freaking cool. I hated it. That was like peak hating Beca. Anyway, sorry.
No,
Austin.
I'm sorry. I was just so excited. I was interrupting you. I'm so sorry. That's what I meant when I was saying, like, I didn't really realize it before, but she's so condescending and like she thinks so highly of herself. And that was the example that was, most obvious to me, where she's like, David Guetta. It's like, bitch, please.
Can we talk about how she then says that she masturbates to that song? This is my jam, my lady jam. This song really builds. And I was like, dude, you're already naked in the shower and like basically assaulting her by refusing to leave. And now you're going to talk about how you jerk off to the song she's singing? Soup's inappropriate. Okay.
Yeah.
I found that very shocking when I don't think I actually, the words didn't enter my head. And I was like, wait, is she saying that is she talking about jerking off in this naked shower? It's a lot.
Yeah, I think I was too busy like rage thinking about the David Guetta comment to pick up on that. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. That's also my low point now.
Great. I'm sorry. This is the low point of your life, and I've done it to you. My apologies. So, okay, I feel like I don't want to hear Jenn's rating until the end. So, Austin, what's your rating?
Oh, boy.
Don't let Jenn's negativity taint you.
Oh, gosh. No, it's pitch perfect, man. I gotta say, for enjoyment, or do we do quality or enjoyment first? I don't remember.
Your choice.
Yeah, okay. Ladies' choice.
I think for enjoyment, I'm going to give it like a 9.5. I had a great time rewatching this movie. It's been a long time since I've seen it. Still know all the words. I mean, I shouldn't have been surprised that I still knew all the words. I did see it 12 times in theaters. But yeah, no, it was fun. 9.5. For quality, I don't know. I think it's a well-made movie. I give them major props for actually doing everything. All the singing and dancing and stuff.
I don't think I realized that they all did the singing themselves.
Yeah, so they went
very impressive.
They rehearsed it and did some pretty hardcore training for it. So that's impressive to me. And I think the movie overall is like a pretty good movie. There's definitely humor that I don't really like anymore. Probably wouldn't fly anymore. It's crazy how like this is only 8 years ago, but it's some of it.
Yeah, lots changed.
Yeah. So maybe say 7.
Okay, that's
for
fair.
Quality. Yeah.
For me, I'm gonna say my enjoyment was about an 8 because I think I've just seen this movie too many times, and I watched it not long before I watched it in order to take notes, and so I was a little bit bored, and I was just really aware during this viewing that there's not a lot that happens. The same conflict happens over and over, and it never gets resolved. It just gets brushed away, and then it happens again, and then it gets brushed away, and then it happens again. And I was like, they could have cut out 4 iterations of this argument. It wasn't necessary. So I didn't enjoy it super much for that reason, but I do really love the music. And I know I'm not a music person. I don't know good music from bad music. I just know that I enjoy this peppy beats, so I enjoyed the music a lot. So I'm giving it an 8. For quality, I mean, it's a Hollywood blockbuster, so it's good quality. Obviously, it was filmed well, but I found that there was too many weird plot points and plot devices that went nowhere. So in terms of quality, giving it a 5.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So enjoyment. I'll give it maybe like a 2, 1 or a 2. Like, it was, not the worst thing I've ever seen, but I did hate it. Like, a lot of the things I was writing down during it were, this movie sucks, this is not for me. It's just not for me is basically the epitome of this movie. It's everything that I know I don't like, so I wasn't going to have a good time. I'm bumping it up a little, so it's getting like a 1 or a 2 instead of a 0, because some of the songs are like, they're all big pop songs. They were all hits, so some of them are catchy, so it was kind of good to hear them, even though I'm the kind of person where I would probably just prefer to listen to S&M by Rihanna than listen to some people in an empty swimming pool try to sing it a cappella style. Maybe that's just me.
That is just you.
I just want to do a quick
throw your trivia in.
Trivia preview, and in defense of S&M, in the riff-off, is the actress that plays Cynthia Rose, who sings that song in the movie, is Esther Dean, and she was actually the songwriter of S&M.
I did see that when I was looking that up. So
I also saw that because my phone tells me things sometimes. Like, I was watching it on Amazon Prime, and it has a trivia section, so I'm sorry.
Nice.
We already knew your quiz.
No, it's okay. I feel like that's like the most, the most well-known piece of trivia.
Impressive.
So I just felt like, kind of a good callback for her.
Yeah, I'm glad they did that. That's like, I wonder whose idea that was and how it came about, but I'm glad they did it.
Yeah. Sorry, Jen, continue. Tell me how much you hate this movie.
That was my enjoyment rating. And then quality, I'd say it's about a 4. I think it's generally pretty poorly written. Like, the plot, there's a lot of plot holes. The humor is not really good. Some of the dialogue is just even really bad. Like, at the beginning when she's like, Dad, I need to go to LA and be a DJ. It's just so unrealistic and jarring. But yeah, everyone's a talented singer, so that makes the performance aspect a little better. But yeah, it's a 4.
For sure. I just realized that we jumped way ahead of where we normally go here, but that's okay. Jackie, do you have any favorite quotes from this movie?
I do. I have a lot of quotes. This movie is highly quotable.
In a good way?
It is.
I'm gonna pare it down.
Okay, I'll be quiet for this part.
The first quote I really liked was an Elizabeth Banks classic. She goes, "Nothing makes a woman feel more like a girl than a man who sings like a boy." It's only funny if Elizabeth Banks says it.
Yeah.
She's good. Benji says, "Just so you know, I'm not a total nerd. I'm also super into close-up magic." I feel like I've said something similar in my life. It's a little too close to home. And I actually I know it's stupid that she gets hit with the burrito and everything goes a little bit weird, but I really love that she says, "Leave it. It fuels my hate fire."
Yes.
I really love that's like a Rebel Wilson moment that I am always going to get behind.
Yeah, she does when she does well, like when it lands, it really lands.
Yeah, when they first see Beca, Aubrey says she looks a little too alternative for us.
Yes.
She's literally wearing a sweater vest. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's the quotes I got for you.
So good.
And there's a classic Fat Amy quote where she's like, "Yeah, sometimes I think I should do crystal meth, but then I think, better not."
Yeah.
In reference to Sleeping with Bumper. That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, quotes done.
Quotes done. Jen, what other movies we got that year? We're doing this all out of order. I guess whatever. It's fine.
It's fine. No one knows the order except us.
I was going to say, is there an order?
And barely that.
So 2012 actually had a lot of really good movies. Austin, you saw Pitch Perfect 12 times in theaters, you said?
Your voice got so high at the end there. It was very judgmental.
12?
I did see it a lot. I don't know the exact number, but...
All right. So another movie that came out that summer was The Avengers, which I saw in theaters 5 times. So that's my record of summer 2012.
Nice.
I don't think I've ever seen a movie twice in the theater.
Wow,
that was met with like really, really heavy silence.
No, sorry. I used to do it a lot, so I was kind of surprised.
I think I'm just cheap.
Oh, Jackie, if you're cheap, then what you do is what I used to do back in the day, which is the double feature, where you see a movie then switch into a second.
Ooh.
If I was so afraid that they would catch me with my like bulk barn candy, imagine how afraid I was of getting caught sneaking into a theater.
Listen, like I said, They're 15 years old and they make minimum wage. What are they going to do?
They're authority figures.
There are rules.
They're high school students. You're the authority
I was a high
figure.
school student.
Anyway.
I mean, I do it now. Let's just say that. I would do it now.
Okay.
Although
fair.
it's even riskier now that there's assigned seating. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, it's much harder now. Probably they've done this because of people like me who used to sneak in. But also in the summer of 2012, The Dark Knight Rises came out and The Hunger Games. So there was a lot of blockbuster action that year.
Yeah.
In musical world, Austin, your favorite, Les Mis, the movie adaptation came out, which we've talked about before. It's awful.
It's so bad.
And then a movie that I saw in theaters that I loved that year that I doubt you guys have seen, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Anyone?
Nope.
Oh.
No, but I did just watch Pride and Prejudice and Zombies the other day.
Oh, that's classic too. But Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, there's like a scene where a guy's on a horse and he throws another horse at someone, and it's cinematic masterpiece. Like, you have to see it, truly.
This sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I'll put it on my list. We're all going to watch it.
Please, can we do it immediately instead of whatever one you're going to make me watch today?
No, sorry. You have to watch the scary one.
No. Well, honestly, those are a lot of, like you said, Hollywood blockbuster action movies, and that surprises me even more that Austin chose to repeatedly go back to Pitch Perfect.
Yeah, same. Like, I'm judging you hardcore.
In my defense, I've seen all those movies except for Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. So it's not like I wasn't also seeing movies.
You saw them, like, this year?
No, I saw them in theaters. I saw all those movies in theaters.
Oh, okay. I thought Avengers was new to you.
Oh, no. I've seen it.
So,
okay.
Did you see Avengers in theaters once and then Pitch Perfect 12 times?
Yeah. Uh-huh. I don't know exactly how many times I saw it, but I do know that I'd seen it well over a dozen times by the time I bought the DVD. Yeah.
Okay. I think we can just call it 12, though, because it's obviously within the realm of possibility, and it's hilarious.
Yeah. I don't know why. It's not like I love this movie that much. It's not like I'm like,
apparently
this is the best movie ever
you
released. It's just
why don't you hit us with some trivia then? Because I'm eager.
I don't actually have that much. I'm so sorry to disappoint. I think the ones that I did have, we all already knew and have talked about.
I mean, the only trivia that really matters is the trivia of how you've seen it 12 times. But
yeah, that's all that we care about.
What else matters? I have watched a lot of the well, they're not even featurettes, because I did look at what some of the bonus features were on the DVD, and there wasn't really much. But I have seen those documentaries on YouTube of them rehearsing the rehearsal processes, so it's kind of cool. Anyway, I
didn't know those existed.
Yeah. Anyways, the budget for this movie was $17 million, and it grossed $115.4 million. So
noise.
It did pretty good.
Yeah, how much of that box office was from you?
Yeah, I was going to say I contributed about 25% of that. But yeah, no, it did very well. It's obviously there's 2 sequels. The second, have you guys seen Jenn, I'm assuming has not. Jackie, have you seen the other 2?
I'm sure I have, but I can't remember anything about either of them. But I have.
I've seen the second.
But they've just gone right out of my brain.
The second one, or rather the third one, is better than the second one, if I remember correctly. But yeah,
which one has the Germans? Das.
Yeah, Das.
Whatever.
What are they
Sound
called?
Machine.
Yeah. Das Sound Machine. That were infinitely better than the Bellas. I think that's the second one. The other thing that I did write down were all of the categories that were available in the riff-off. I don't know if you caught that, but so we had the 2 that they ended up using, Ladies of the 80s and
Songs About Sex.
The other ones there were Black Michael Jackson songs, White Michael Jackson songs.
Wow.
Christian rock, hair bands, TV theme songs, reggae time, medium rock, the Judds, famous duets, overplayed the Black Eyed Peas, puppet songs, songs Glee ruined, party rock anthems, and ugly lead singers.
Okay, so they got the 2 best categories.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some of those categories are not great.
I'm very intrigued by puppet songs, though.
I was going to say, what is a puppet song? That's what Sacapella does, but I have no interest in them.
I can only assume they're singing Avenue Q. Anyone? Anybody? Just me? Okay.
Yes.
Just you.
That's really... I'm sorry, I don't have much in the trivia.
That's okay.
Department.
I think you should force Jenn to watch the sequels.
I
That
was
would make me
gonna
really happy.
ask if we had to watch the sequels. My request
No.
is please no.
They're not on my list.
Okay,
Okay, good. And they get worse, Jen, if you can believe it.
I don't know how much worse we can get.
I feel like the second one is worse. The third one is definitely worse than the first one, but it's better.
Which one
than the
has
second.
Haley Steinfeld in
I think
it?
that's, well, they both do, but I think she is in the second one, mostly with her stupid flashlight song.
Oh, that's the worst part.
Oh.
I remember that so distinctly. That song sucks. They should have lost so hard by using that song.
Yep.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Jen, that's sequel talk. Cut that bullshit out. Anyway, so that, I guess, wraps it up. Pitch Perfect, surprisingly controversial.
Yeah. So, Jen, why don't you tell us what movie we are watching next time?
Yeah, so you guys subjected me to Pitch Perfect, and I'm getting my revenge by making you watch another horror movie. So
A
next
really
week,
actual horror movie this time.
Oh, God, really?
I'm sorry, Jackie. Next week we are tackling The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Oh, God, it sounds so bad already. I live alone, you guys. I don't know what I'm going to do.
You have dogs. Dogs will protect you.
Oh, my God, these dogs are so small.
Jen, any recommendations for watching it? What's the best way for people who don't like horror movies to get through this?
You know what I will say before, Jen, you answer that?
Yeah.
If you tell me right now how you want me to set up my viewing experience, I'll do it the way you say. So you can like really be mean to me right now, but I'm going to do what you say because you are the horror master.
I mean, genuinely, I don't know what to tell you because I don't understand people who are like too scared to not watch it. My recommendation is don't look anything up, go in blind, have it on a big screen, and don't close your eyes.
Should the lights be on or off? Should it be night or day?
I will leave that to you. I watch them in
thank
the
God,
day.
because it's going to be day.
Yeah, I was like, I watch them in the day or night, but I have no problem waking up first thing in the morning and watching a scary movie. Like, I'm not going to insist you turn the lights off.
God, we're so different.
All right, so I guess that pretty much wraps up our talking about Pitch Perfect. It was fun. Still one of my favorite movies. Jen didn't totally ruin it for me. But yeah, so thanks for listening and tune in next week when we talk about The Autopsy of Jane Doe. Bye!